honestly, from a lot of people that I talked to, I think a lot of people are a little bit confused with the search. I think a lot of people have a lot of skepticism in Ryan Poles and in Kevin Warren, more specifically Kevin Warren. Um, and then George is what George is. I got some people that have sent me some texts about him that obviously I won't share, but it's just funny how like we're not at a level of apathy that people have reached, but we're just at a level of like, fuck, they're gonna find a way to fuck this up. I think the number one thing is that we're seeing from a lot of fans is why is this list so long? And as the week has gone on, and I've sat and I've thought about it, and you think of a regular interview. I work in corporate America, and I've been a part of a couple interview panels. And when you look at it, you kind of do interview a solid amount of candidates. And then when you add in the Rooney Rule, when you add in the fact that you can't, fucking cat just walked in. What's up? Scared the shit out of me. When you add in the fact that some of these meetings, the in-person meetings, can't be held until January 20th, it's like, well, what do you expect the Bears to do? They have time to fill. I've actually come down from the stance as far as everything being held on Zoom. The only ones that I felt should have been in person because they technically can be in person is Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel. Because you're going through one of the most important hiring cycle in your franchise's history, all things considering, because you have such a talented quarterback prospect. For the first time ever, you've had the first pick and you've taken the number one quarterback. You're on the verge in the future. We don't know when. I really don't give a fuck when. I don't care about it. But you have a stadium coming. This is a very important hire because we get this hire wrong, then more often than not, then you bombed on Caleb Williams. And I don't know if you could come back from that. So I felt like with such an important hire and with somebody like Mike Vrabel available, you're doing yourself and you're doing the organization a major disservice and not getting him to see the facility. How many times have we heard players, free agents, that have come in, signed with the team, and when people ask them, "Hey, what are your thoughts?" They're like, "Wow, I really didn't know how amazing this facility is." That is one of the things that Ryan Pace really did get right in his tenure. The whole remodeling of Palace Hall and going ahead and adding the new workout facility in the gym. So I feel like there's nothing like seeing somebody in person. And with somebody like Mike Vrabel, we could probably be on this show today, and would it shock any of y'all if we're on this show right now, we get an alert that Mike Vrabel is hired by the Patriots?
Not at
Like
all. No,
more often than yeah, like that's kind of where we're going. And it's like, damn, you weren't even able to get him in the building. So I understand that. I do think that they want to lean offense. I know there's conflicting ideologies on this. You have somebody like Kevin Warren who wants to make sure that we get, we do an exhaustive search and we get a leader of men and we get somebody that's done this before. I think Ryan Poles, being a little bit of, a little bit new guard and seeing, if you look about it, he did put in some assets in getting Roma Dunze, Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, re-signing DJ Moore, paying Cole Kmet, etc. I think he does want to get this offense into the into this modern century and go offense. So, I just think there's a lot of uneasiness because a lot of people wanted Flus gone last year. A lot of people wanted Jim Harbaugh. We're less than 24 hours away from watching Jim Harbaugh in his first season back in the NFL go ahead and take a franchise that wasn't in the playoffs last year to the playoffs. So there's a lot of people are anxious, and I think deservedly so. But you just have to go and trust this process, and they don't deserve the benefit of doubt in thinking that they're going to get it right. But all we can do is hope that they get it right. I think if they get Ben Johnson, then nobody will complain for the most part. I think we'll be fine. And you know what? And if Ben Johnson in 3-4 years ends up being a bust, then fuck it. That's just the way the pendulum swung. But they went and got the top name, outside of Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think that a couple things. One, I do feel that this fan base. I don't think Bears fans will ever actually reach apathy, and the reason I say that is outside of them being the number one team in the city, it's football. It's 17 games a year. It's not like it's an 82 game season with basketball, 162 game season with baseball, where you can get detached throughout the season. It's very hard to just, even when like every team, you can be the most ass team in the league. You're gonna find a way to get excited about the team. Even Panthers fans, who's the worst saying this shit? Tennessee fans, because it's football. So I don't know if they'll ever reach the part of apathy, but I do feel like Mikey, the word you use is perfect. Anxious. There's a lot of anxiety going on that they're going to fuck it up again. And I said that until they're actually doing it, I'm expecting them to fuck up. But at the same time, like, I have a weird feeling. Like I'm like 50% optimistic and 50% like, oh, they're gonna fuck it up, because I also feel like they've also done things this year that they haven't done before. Now, granted, the way they done it is still peak Bears, but they actually did fire a coach mid-season, which is maybe something that they know what they've got to do. And even with the airplane thing, and they come out saying, oh, we're not gonna do that again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the biggest issue with the Bears is something I said on Twitter during the break is I don't believe that George McCaskey is like Jerry Reinsdorf. Jerry Reinsdorf honestly does not give a fuck about the Bulls and the White Sox. He does not care. I believe George McCaskey cares. He just doesn't know how to make it work. He doesn't know how to hire the right people. And when he hires the people, he meddles. He doesn't let them do his job. There's no reason for him to be interviewed. If he wants to be at the press conference, it's well his right as chairman of the board to be at the press conference. But just be there and shut the fuck up. I don't need to hear you talk. There's no reason to talk.
Bro, George is really George is like that guy in your fantasy group that he has to do every single thing. He has no clue what he's talking about.
Right.
Like he's gonna make 15 trades.
I keep saying he's Conor Roy.
He's gonna make 15 trades that make absolutely no sense, but he's gonna look you in the face and tell you, you know what, this is the move that we needed right here.
It's like the election episode. Remember when Shiv, Roman, and Kendall in the room, and here come Conor? You don't need to be
here. George is the one in fantasy, Dante, that is rostering 3 quarterbacks for no reason.
Yes.
It's like, why are you just
smart? Like he just got
right. Like, somebody's gonna need one down the road. But Scott, to your point, yes, to your point about the owners, they're also 2 different people. Jerry, fortunately, he bought himself some grace because he bought this franchise, the Bulls, when they were at their bottom. And he developed them into a winner. He reaped all the benefits. He cashed out on them. So it's cool. George is just inheriting what somebody else has built. And he truly just, like you said, he truly doesn't know. He truly doesn't know, how to go about it. And I think it's a part of that, like, we joke Conor Roy, but I think it is that Conor Roy shit. It's just like, I wonder what his role was growing up. Like, when everybody else was kind of in the family running it and that the hierarchy, like, was he just playing the back? Like, oh, okay, cool. Like the motherfucker shows up to go pick up Ryan Poles in the Nike Pegasus with the Bears logo on it in a Bears jacket, and he ain't even double parked like a real one. He went and parked at the cell phone lot, got his voucher and had to cross, he crossing the link over out here to get him. And it's like, no. And for as much as people shit on Kevin Warren, you got to applaud Kevin Warren, because Kevin Warren is the sole reason as to why they're no longer going to be putting these candidates, when they do come down to their finalist group, the 4 or the 5, they're not going to put them on a Southwest airline, 5th row priority, and they're, and waiting there with their bag.
Like the niggas on Frontier.
Right. And my thing is, for me, he's 100% a politician, Kevin Warren is, and I just don't, for the companies that I've worked for, I've worked in the government for over 10 years, right? And one of the biggest buzzwords, especially over the last 6 years, is world class. Nobody can tell me what the fuck world class means. What is world class? You don't know. It doesn't have a definition. So to continue to hang your hat on that, I'm cool. And just to the last part before we move on, I hated the fact that when they asked him about Ryan Poles' job stability, And he said, "Oh well, a year is a lifetime in the NFL." And then he automatically went to, it's a big year for the stadium, for operations. We're not talking about the stadium or operations. Truthfully, all four of us on this show, we could give a fuck about the stadium.
I don't give a shit, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't care.
Like, and this is like, and this is the thing with Kevin Warren. Like, I'm with you. I don't really have a problem with Kevin Warren, and I don't have a problem with him talking business. He's a CEO. That's what their job is, to talk business. And if there's anything non-football that I will give Kevin Warren credit, there's a lot of black folks that work for this team. And as somebody who's been covering this team for 4 years, the difference from the Ryan Pace era, Ted Phillips, to Kevin Warren is night and fucking day. And he also, me and Dante talked about this off camera about, like, black relations with different franchises. He goes out of his way to make sure that black media get their questions off of things like that. When he walked to the podium, there's a whole bunch of other media members. He singled me out, shook my hand. So I'll give him credit for, like,
Oh, look at you. Oh, nigga shook my hand.
Well, even Ryan Poe.
The slander will stop. The slander will stop.
Slander will stop. This nigga ain't buck
no,
no more.
It's not. No, I know. He's still TED Talk Kevo. I'm just
saying. Even Ryan Poe's in his press conference, I don't know if, I'm watching it and you there, Scott. Like, Herb was trying to get a question in for, like, the last 4 to 5 questions, and Poe's kind of made a point to be like, all right, last one, Herb,
because it's Wild West trying to get a question off of them. So, because originally they told Herb, no, this last question, Poe's was like, no, I'm gonna interview. So I give him credit on little stuff like that. But the thing to me is, when we're talking football, I don't need to hear from anybody but Ryan Poles. If we're talking about the stadium, then we can hear from Kevin Warren. If you want to talk about when the coach is hired, then we can hear from Kevin Warren. If it's football, whether right or wrong, however you feel about what Ryan Poles' job has been, and I think that needs to be more of a nuanced conversation with what he's done if we take emotion out of it. But he needs to be the only nigga speaking. Let me say this. If he's going to be the GM going forward, he needs to have an extension. If he's truly under 1 year, like I feel like he is, that just sets up for failure. But I also say Kevin Warren, I don't know if y'all peeped this, Kevin Warren didn't necessarily close the door on if Ben Johnson came like, look, I ain't really rocking with this fool. Y'all need to get him. He didn't really close the door on that.
He ain't pull a Shad Khan, but he did say he ain't closed the door on it. Then they asked George, and George was like, that was some of the arrogance that I don't like, is he was just like, well, I never had a candidate ask me that. Like, the job is the job, and these motherfuckers want the job. So I wasn't really rocking with that.
But gee, is it arrogance or is it just sheer stupidity? Like, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying, but like when you listen to George talk, it's like, oh shit, he really don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And it's every time he gets in front of the mic. So it's like
he got a 14 on his ACT.
Bro, we talk about Nepo babies all the time, but like this really might be a situation where we got a Nepo baby running the show and he has no clue.
No, there's not a situation. That's what it is. Like,
okay.
That not only is that legit what it is, to Scott's point, this is why I said a couple of weeks ago, we need a football czar along with Kevin Warren. You need Kevin, go get the stadium. Go take care of that. Boom. We need somebody that speaks, lives football. Now, both of them niggas can report to George. They can. But we need somebody that's going to handle football relations. It is what it is at this point. I am tired of hearing from George. I feel like if you want to get more information about this organization, you better all speaking to somebody else on this platform than listening to George as, because George clearly has no clue what he's doing, what's going on. I heard somebody say like, yo, he's been I think you said in the chat he's been doing the DEI. Do the DEI stuff. Do that shit.
Right.
Go talk to the league. Like, do that shit. But football, no. And if it's and here's the thing: if it's promote Ryan Poles to that VP of football operations type shit, and then promote Ian Cunningham as the GM. If y'all want to do that, I'm cool with that too.
But I'm not cool with that. I just
don't want to hear from George. I'm just saying I'm cool with whatever, where I don't have to hear George talk.
Right. But see, I'm not cool with that because Ryan Poles don't deserve to fail up. His record doesn't, warrant that. But
as many white motherfuckers that fail up.
I was like, I'm half and half on that. Like,
I'm half and half.
From a fan perspective, I'm like, I'm with you. The nigga sounded like,
but all of this pecking order and him being adamant that this is a vertical situation. The head coach reports to the GM reports to the president of football, president of football, goes to the chairman. He did this backwards. Remember, they hired Poles, they hired the coach, and then 3 months later, then they introduced Kevin Warren. Like, it's just like Scott said, we circle. It comes back to the opening point. I just don't think he knows how to go about this in the right way from start to finish.
Yeah, and to get back to the coaching vetting process, I was like you, Mikey, at first. I was upset about 15 people you interviewing and why that's not virtual. But once I've heard more from not just other members of the Bears media and just national heads, and for the reason you named, Mikey, a lot of them can't even actually be in person until like the 20th or some shit like that. I started not to care as much. And also, the Chargers last year, I didn't know they interviewed 15 people before they eventually hired Harbaugh.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah, we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line.